So Whiskey Tango Charlie, we're back at Peerless Distillery here in St. Louis, or excuse me, in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind of a week here with us. We call it Bourbon Week, where we get back and meet with old friends and new friends, and we have Corky with us today. And it's been before the pandemic since we've been here, Corky.
Thinking about it now, I thought, maybe a couple years ago, but it's probably been 4 years ago, maybe at least 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, I remember the release.
Yeah.
I was able to bring a buddy of mine up, a really dear friend of mine came up, and I was taking him to some places and people I knew. You were out of town that particular visit, but I've been here. Troy was not with us on that trip, but yeah, it's been too long, and thank goodness we're able to get out and come see people and get face-to-face
get back
again.
to normal.
Well,
after all that, I thought, of course, Louisville went through a lot. Of course, COVID and a couple other things, and I thought it's going to take Louisville some time to come back, get all the bars, restaurants, the hotels really needed business. And this thing has come back fast for Louisville.
Right.
And it gets good for Louisville, good for everybody that's not only downtown but outside. So it's been a good thing.
yeah.
It's been real good. And we're happy about it, and our business is good, thank goodness, so. And I think other people's business is pretty good too, so we're thankful for that.
Yeah. We've seen your product all the way across the country as we travel and visit with other distilleries and other master distillers. Is anything new happening here, or anything on the horizon that we can look for?
Well, we've got our Double Oak Rye that just came out, and a lot of my buddies that are my age, it was. And I tell people this story. It says, of course, I'm 73. Some of my buddies are 74. We're all right in that. And there's like 4 or 5 from Henderson, where I'm from originally, and some from Louisville. So there's like, I call us, there's 13 of us. All of us drank bourbon for probably 40 years. My dad drank bourbon. My granddaddy drank bourbon. Everybody drank bourbon. Every one of us drinks rye. And I was just talking to 3 of them last night. I just happened to call them because I just got back from Florida yesterday. And they said, I said, what do you think about that Double Oak Rye? Oh my gosh. He says, that's the best product I think I've ever had. And so I think it's doing real well for us, and people like it, and at least my buddies like it, so whatever. So, but it's funny how, I don't know if it's the age, it's a flavor profile, it's what it is, but we all drink rye. Not that we wouldn't drink bourbon.
Right. So, when you say that, Corky, my mind sort of drifts off into, is it one of 2 things or a combination of things? Is it the ryes have just gotten that doggone good, or is it somewhat, your palate changes over the years?
It does, yeah.
So what are you thinking? Is it the consumer, everybody's palates maybe are
I think it is.
Getting weary of bourbon only?
Well, I think your palate changes. I mean, I drank bourbon. I was fine with drinking bourbon for years and years and years, and so were they. But once they tried rye, I mean, it's, you almost hate to say this now in this distillery, but heck, I didn't even know what rye whiskey was probably 10, 12 years ago. And I started reading about it. I started, well, let's make some because it, matures faster, and maybe we get it out earlier or whatever. But, I think rye, it's not a big category. So you go into a liquor store, and of course you got 2 rows of bourbon and a lot of really good bourbons. They're all good bourbons, and there's not many rye, but you're starting to see more rye. The big guys are getting into the rye now.
Right.
And good for them. I mean, it's good that there's a lot of ryes out, but we're happy we came out with it, and it's doing very well for us. You're not going to come into bourbon country, into the state of Kentucky, and overwhelm the bourbon industry with rye, but there's certain parts of the country that they love rye. I mean, I was in Tampa I was in Tampa Thursday night in probably one of the biggest volume, and I was just watching. Of course, my bartender buddies are there. They were pushing rye, but there was a lot of people at that bar drinking our rye. And then I went to Capitol Grill the other night, and I'll be darned if the same thing. I'm watching, and of course I know the bartenders too, but they're drinking our rye. And I'm thinking, and then the girl says, we're going through as much of your rye as we are your bourbon. And they told me that in Tampa. I thought, well, okay, whatever. That's good. But, you know, liquor stores are still strong bourbon. I mean, that's, you know, and then, but, you know, there's a lot of Manhattans made with our rye in different parts of the country. So we're happy, obviously happy about that. And we're honored that they use our product.
Yeah.
So, but
So we noticed a lot of things when we came in have changed a little bit. The experience to the consumer as they come to a distillery, you guys have done an extraordinary job here for a number of years, but we've noticed some new things here. Are you bringing anything new experiences for the consumers who come to visit the distillery?
we are. We've, of course, we're continuing with our tours, you know, that last probably an hour, hour and 15 minutes. Some of them, depending on how long we talk, an hour and a half. But my son Carson built a new room downstairs that I thought would take a year, maybe 2 years to, okay, this thing took off, and it's in honor of my father. We skipped a third generation. That was my father's generation. He was always in the military. So in honor of him, we made just a tasting room downstairs, and it's got a picture of him and General Patton, him when he was in military school. Of course, I went to military, the same one he did. The Allman brothers, Greg and Dwayne, were my roommates at military school. And then I was an Army brat, so I grew up in Hawaii. And a picture of him in Hawaii. So it's really kind of a cool room. It's just for tastings, but people really enjoy it. And we are really moving a lot of people through there, because a lot of people that come to Kentucky, I mean, they've gone on tours, they've seen the big, you know, places, the Maker's Mark, the Jim Beams of the world, and of course Sazeracs. And now everybody's seen a still, but some of them just want to taste it. And we finally realized that after, we still do some tastings in the big tasting room, but this small tasting room, I'm really pleasantly surprised that it's really doing well. And I'm glad we honored my dad, because it's strictly an Ace Taylor room. That's it. Won't be other pictures of other people, just for him, and I'm glad we were able to honor him.
Nice. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier, and I did see the release. You speaking of new rooms, you know, the new the Barrel Select room. You know, you guys pulled together. That's pretty.
Yeah, I failed to
That's a pretty big program, right?
It is. It's John Waddle is our barrel curator, along with Christina here, that just joined us about 6 months ago. So we have this room, and it's really, and as you look through the glass, that's our first barrel that we made, you know, and so it's a neat room. It's kind of intimate. It's like this, and we still bring people up here too, but we're for a small distillery, we're selling a lot of single barrels, not only to liquor stores, but to bars as well, restaurants. So we're pretty pleased. We're very pleased with our single barrel, and that helps us. And then, of course, now we sell a lot of single barrels down through our store downstairs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I know some of our friends down back in North Carolina, so our buddies, and we're in that group as well. We're not, but the North Carolina Bourbon Society guys came up fairly recently.
Oh, they came up here. Yeah, they were here not too long ago.
And you know, and I'm sure Coors was very something to be in that room, because he's a military. He's a retired military guy. So
yeah.
So you know, good story.
Yeah. Of course, we like, you know, we're a military family, and we honor the military. I think I donate to quite a few things that have to do with military, and tomorrow I think we've got the wives of officers down at Knox coming over. There's supposed to be about 20 of them coming in here tomorrow. So we get a lot of military people in here, and of course they love seeing the picture of General Patton and my dad standing there. And if you saw the movie Patton, the man that was right with General Patton in real life was my dad. And then I own General Patton's gun, the Colt 1911 with ivory handles. He said pearls were for women and ivories for men. Well, I own that gun, so I do bring it in for people to see, mostly Army generals. A lot of the older Army generals that retire, they go down to Fort Knox because that's known for the Patton Museum, for General Patton, and they all honor General, and especially if they went to school at West Point, they go down there to retire because that's where Patton went to school.
Gotcha.
Corky, you were talking about your new passion for rye and bringing that back up. What's your favorite drink?
Oh,
Like a mixed beverage.
a Manhattan on the rocks. Rye Manhattan, Peerless rye Manhattan on the rocks. God, I probably had a few too many of those, but that's okay. You know, that's my drink.
How long has it been your drink?
Well, since we came out with rye, that 2-year-old rye, I had them fix me one up in at Bill Thomas up at Jack Rose in D.C. So let me fix you a drink. And he had a bartender there, and I just met him. I've met him numerous times now, but he fixed me his drink. I said, I think that's the best drink I've ever had. Fix me another. So I've been drinking it ever since. So, and then we came out with our rye, 17, I guess, something like that. So, you know, I've been at a few over the weekend, as a matter of fact. So that's my drink. You know, we just like to have people to come in and, like you said, meet with us, meet with our team. We got a great team, you know, and we care. I mean, we like our bourbon, we like our rye, but we like to talk about other things. I mean, we like to talk about, you know, I'd say over 50% of the people that walk through this door, their father was in the military, their uncle, their grandfather, you know, people that they know or relatives. So everybody can associate with General Patton. They've seen the movie, and if they saw the movie, that was my dad who was actually right with him. And then they know that pearls were for women and ivories for men. I owned the gun that Patton carried all through the war. And then if they're not familiar with that, and they're my age or younger, they sure know who the Allman Brothers were, Greg and Dwayne, and they were my roommates at Castle Heights. So, you know, you got to be kidding me. I said, no, I wished I was sometime, but I'm not kidding. But you know, we just like to talk about other things. So there's no script here.
Right.
When you come through the door, you know, everybody's glad to see you. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you coming in. Then when you go on a tour, I don't care who gives you the tour. We got 10 people downstairs that give tours. I can guarantee you they're all different, and that's the way I wanted to. I just make it your personality, not my personality, not Christina's personality, not nothing against that, but you know what I'm saying. It's just your personality. You tell it the way you want to tell it. If you want to say that, or you want to leave something out, or you want to add something to it, I'm fine with that. And people know that. They know that, you know, they like what they're doing. They like what they're talking about, and it comes from their heart, not from what I wrote on a piece of paper and said, you know, this is what I want you to say. So
Awesome. Whiskey Tango Charlie. We're here with Corky at Peerless Distillery. If you're in the area, please stop in and go on a tour. See what the culture of this facility is all about, the culture and the people, because, Charles, that's what the bourbon lifestyle is all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Incredible.
It don't get much better than this, folks. Wow, Whiskey Tango Charlie. We're so thankful. Thank you, Corky, for the time. You guys are always hospitable for us. And Troy, what else to say here, dude?
It isn't. Let's close it out.
Let's close it up. Folks, to the bourbon lifestyle, right?
Cheers.
thank you.